What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Zayvon Law Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah, and today, y'all, it's time for me to start my 2024 WNBA team previews. And the team we have up first is the Dallas Wings. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. All right, y'all. So let's start with the Dallas Wings strengths. I think their first strength is their front court talent and depth. You're talking about, y'all, a team that, in my opinion, has the most depth and talent in the front court in the entire league. Because not only do they have, a great two players in Natasha Howard and Satu Sabally, but they also have great depth behind them. Y'all, like I just said, they have Natasha Howard, Satu Sabally. Let's get to Natasha Howard. We know Natasha Howard, she's been one of the best two-way players in the league for the past half decade now, right? We remember back in 2018 when she won Defensive Player of the Year. And she's the veteran player on this team, right? This is a very young roster. She's the only player on this team that's over 30 years old. So she brings that veteran leadership, that veteran presence. But y'all, she's also still a really good player, right? Last year made yet her another All-Star appearance. So we know Natasha Howard's going to continue to be a really good player. And then Satu Sabally, listen, y'all, I know she's going to be out until August with that shoulder injury. But Satu Sabally, when she comes back, she is going to establish herself as the top, in my opinion, 5 power forward in the league. Last year, y'all, she finally put it all together, right? She was able to stay healthy. She shot the ball very well from three, shot it at a nearly 37% clip. So I cannot wait to see what she's going to do when she comes back. But behind them, y'all, they have Kalani Brown, who Kalani Brown played extremely well for them. They signed her last year in free agency. And she came in immediately and made things happen, right? Average about 8 points, 4.5 rebounds, only 16 minutes per game. They also have Tierra McCowan, y'all, big 6'7". And when they traded for her a couple years ago, we really didn't know what her role was going to be on the team because, y'all, they still had Charlie Collier on the team at this point. And so we didn't really know how they were going to allocate the minutes between them. But as we saw, they ended up rolling with Tierra McCowan. That decision paid off, right? I mean, Tierra McCowan last year averaged about 10 points, 9 rebounds. I think she should have made the All-Star team last year, but she's just a very dominant post player, y'all, and also moves pretty well for her size. And then they also have Stephanie Soares, who they drafted last year. She couldn't play due to injury, but she's 6'6", right? She's very long, very athletic for a woman her size. She's really good at finishing around the basket, so you love that. And then you also have Maddie Seegers, who they also drafted last year, and Maddie's kind of more of a stretch forward than she is, I guess a paint presence, but that's okay because Maddie is still a good player, and I think she'll have a really good sophomore season. You look at their next strength, y'all, is their rebound. You're talking about a team that averaged nearly 12 offensive rebounds per game and nearly 40 total rebounds per game. And this is also a team, y'all, that had 3 players that averaged 8 or more rebounds per game, which is really like unheard of. But they use their size to their advantage. Just a team, they have a lot of tall players, right? Natasha Howard, Satu Sabally, Kalani Brown, Tierra McCowan, right? Maddie Seegers, Stephanie Soares. But all those women, y'all, can really rebound the ball. And also their guards, right? JC Sheldon, who they just drafted last month in the draft. For her career, she averaged about 4.5 rebounds per game at Ohio State. For a guard, that's really good. And then Enrique, their superstar guard, she averaged about 5 rebounds per game for her career. So this whole entire team can really rebound, and it's a great thing to have, right? Not only do your centers and power forwards need to be able to rebound, but y'all, your guards need to be able to help and crash the glass as well. You look at their next strength, y'all, their interior scoring. This is a team that last year was one of the best teams in terms of points in the paint per game. Like I just said, with their size, they use that to their advantage in terms of paint scoring. This is a team, y'all, that doesn't have a lot of shooting, but in terms of being able to get to the basket, they have a lot of women that can do that. Enrique being the number one player that can do that for them, y'all. She can really get down here, attack, finish with the left and right hand, and then she can also dump it down inside to Tierra McCowan or to Kalani Brown. And then you have Natasha Howard. She can actually create for herself, put the ball on the floor, get to the basket. Then you have Stephanie Soares, who we're excited to see what she can do. But when she was in college, she was a really good interior scorer. I expect her to be able to do that in the league. And so when you just factor all that together, y'all, you get a team that has a lot of women that can create for themselves in terms of getting to the basket, and also have a lot of women that can create for other people in terms of finding them and getting them open layups, getting them open shots around the rim. And then y'all think their last strength is that this team is very physical. This team has a lot of rough riders on it, and I love that, right? Man, Dallas plays kind of like an old school style of basketball, and it catches a lot of teams off guard. So I mean, let's just be honest. A lot of teams nowadays cannot play like that bully ball basketball, but Dallas can do it because of the size they have, right? And they're able to use that size to create mismatches with their lineups, right? Like they could realistically, y'all have a lineup of like everybody 6'1", 6'2", or taller, which is crazy, right? But they can do that, and a lot of teams are just not able to handle that. So I love the Wings' physicality. All right, y'all. So let's get into their weaknesses. I think their first weakness is their shooting. We're talking about this is a team last year that shot 31.7% from three, which I think was the worst in the entire league last year. And they didn't really do a lot to address it in the offseason. Now, like I said, they did draft J.C. Seldon last month in the draft, and she's a really, really good three-point shooter. Enrique obviously is a really good three-point shooter. But outside of them, y'all, this team is just really devoid of shooting, right? Satu, who was one of their better three-point shooters, she's going to be out till August, like I said a few minutes ago. And they just don't have shooting. I mean, it's really that simple. They don't have shooting. They don't have spacing. Kalani Brown cannot shoot. Veronica Burden, who they drafted back in 2022, y'all, I mean, she's been one of the worst three-point shooters in the entire league since she's been in the league. Tierra McCowan cannot shoot. Maddie Segrist, she's inconsistent as a shooter. Like last year, she only shot about 32%, but she was a rookie. She needs it. If she can get it up to maybe about 37, 38%, that would go really well for the Wings because they need that shooting. But yeah, y'all, this is just a team that does not have a ton of shooting. Really surprised last year they averaged 87 points per game. A lot of that was because of their paint scoring, as I mentioned. But this is a team, they're going to need J.C. Seldon and Maddie Segrist to really, really be great three-point shooters for them because right now, outside of Enrique, they don't have that, right? You look at their next weekends, y'all, they don't have a lot of ball handlers in the backcourt. I mean, outside of Enrique, they don't have anyone right now. J.C. Seldon, I like J.C. Seldon, but obviously she's a rookie, so we're going to have to see how she plays. But, you know, you talk about you have Veronica Burden. It's just not great, right? I mean, Veronica Burden, y'all, all she is a defensive specialist, right? She really can't handle the ball. She cannot shoot it. So, this is going to be another year, y'all, that Enrique is going to have to handle the ball a lot, going to have to have the ball in her hands a lot, going to have to initiate offense a lot. And, you know, if I was the Wings, y'all, I would have tried to get a veteran point guard on this team. But they chose not to go that route. So this is going to be, like I said, yet another year that Enrique is going to have the ball in her hands a lot. And to me, y'all, their last weakness is the roster crunch. This is a roster that really does not have a lot of spaces available. So they're going to have to make some cuts. And some of these cuts are probably going to be controversial because this is a really deep team. But what happens is when you have a really big team, y'all, eventually you're going to have to cut some of those players. So you're going to lose some of your depth. So it's going to be interesting to see how Greg Bibb, their president and general manager, it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of makes these roster cuts, who he decides to cut. Because like I said, it's going to be very controversial because there's going to be some players that are good, but because this roster is so deep, they're going to end up getting cut. All right, y'all, so let's get into some statistical projections. So I have Enrique averaging 23.4 points per game, 5 assists per game, and 1.9 steals per game. As y'all know, I mean, Enrique is one of the more electrifying players in our league, y'all. I mean, she really reminds me of Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace, and Allen Iverson in terms of just her aggressive mentality, her being able to just get those buckets, her not being afraid to shoot the ball 20, 30 times if it means her team is going to win, right? She's not one of those players that's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to shoot the ball that many times because I'm worried about my field goal percentage. No, she's like, hey, if it takes me shooting the ball 20, 30 times for us to win, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I think she's going to have another spectacular season. I have Kalani Brown averaging 11.2 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game, and a block per game. Like I said, y'all, last year, Kalani Brown, she averaged nearly 8 points and 4.5 rebounds and only 16 minutes per game. I think those numbers, are going to go up, especially when you consider Satu Salva is going to be out until August, so they're going to need like somebody else to kind of step up in that front court, and I think Kalani Brown is going to be that player. And then finally, y'all have Natasha Howard averaging 15.3 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, 1.1 steals per game, and 1.2 blocks per game. I mean, like I said earlier, Natasha Howard just been a very, 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 very good player the last half decade in the league. She's averaged about, 15 points, 16 points per game. And I think she'll be back at 15 this year. But she's a very all-around player, and I think, is going to get some consideration and some votes for Defensive Player of the Year. All right, y'all, so let's get into Zay's crazy predictions. These are my 3 crazy predictions that I think could happen. So first up, y'all, I have Kalani Brown will make the All-Star team. And I know you're like, well, Zay, you only have her averaging about 11 points, 8.5 rebounds. But y'all, I think it's going to go beyond the numbers. I think Kalani Brown, the impact she's going to have on this team is going to be bigger than her numbers. Just like last season, right? She only averaged about 8 points and 4.5 rebounds, like I said. But her impact, y'all, as soon as they signed her, we were like, wow. Like Kalani Brown is making things happen just because of her size, because she's very quick on her feet, and because of her defensive presence. She was huge for the Dallas Wings. I think she's going to have another really good year for them. So I have her making the All-Star team. Number 2, y'all, I have Enrique winning MVP. And I don't think this is far-fetched at all, because I think Enrique last year was close to winning MVP. If it was, for the Las Vegas Aces winning 34 games and Asia ended up winning. But, y'all, I really, 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 really believe, though, right? I really, really believe that Enrique is going to win MVP. I think she's going to lead this team to a top 4 seed in the conference, in the WNBA. And I'm just very, very excited to see what Enrique is going to do again. We know, like I said, y'all, she is one of the best players in the league. And so I just think that this is going to be the year where she wins MVP. And then my third prediction, y'all, is that Veronica Burden will get released. And the reason I think Veronica Burden is going to get released is because, like I stated earlier about her, y'all, she's not a good ball handler. She's not a good shooter. And I think Greg Bibb is going to be like, you know what? There's just really no point of having Veronica Burden on this team. Yes, she's a great defender, but we already have great defenders on this team. We need to find a way to add some more shooting, add some more ball handlers to our team. So I think Veronica Burden is going to get cut. And then last but not least, y'all, let's get into my record prediction. So I think the best case scenario for the Dallas Wings is that they go 27-13. If they go 27-13, y'all, they would probably have the second seed in the league. But I think this is the best case scenario for them. This is if Kalani Brown ends up being an all-star player. If J.C. Selden and Maddie Seegers, they end up really, really playing well for them. If Tierra McCown continues to dominate, Enrique takes her game to another level, and then by the time that Satu Sabally comes back, she's still a really good player and she's able to contribute. I think this team could go 27-13. Worst case, y'all, they go 21-19, which would definitely be a disappointment, right? Last year they went 22-18, so this would be a step back. And not only would it be a step back, but it would also feel like the roster is taking a step back, because we're talking about this is another year under head coach Latricia Trammell, so they should be used to her system now. If they were to go 21-19, they would be like, wow, the Wings did not have a great year. But y'all, my prediction for them is that they will be going 24-16. I think they will have a top 4 record in the WNBA, and I just really love the Wings. I think they are a championship contender, because what's great for them is that by the time Satu Sabally is going to come back, playoff time is going to be getting very close. So she will be back before the playoffs begin, which is really, really major for them, y'all. Because it's not like she's out for the season. If Satu Sabally is out for the season, I do not think the Wings would be a championship contender. But because she's not out for the season, she's going to be back before the playoffs start. I think they're a championship contender. Like I said, I think Enrique is going to have an MVP year. I think J.C. Selden and Maddie Seegers will have really good seasons. Tierra McCown is going to continue to be that double-double center. Kalani Brown is going to take her game to the next level, become an all-star. And I just think, y'all, that this roster as a whole is one of the better rosters in the league because of the size, because of the depth that they have, and just because of the sheer talent that they have in terms of having a great top 3, great big 3 with Enrique, Satu Sabally, and Natasha Harris. So there y'all have it. That is my Dallas Wings 2024 WNBA preview. Remember, y'all, laughter is good medicine, so make sure you get your daily dose. Y'all know I'm an indie man. I love y'all. God bless. Peace.